Hey everybody, Peter here with Legally Speaking with Peter. Today's hot topic, robocalls, spam texts, and AI scams. If you have a cell phone, you've probably received robocalls maybe by the dozens in a week. Text scams include things like texting you to say that your package is delayed or whatever else to try to get you to click on them and open them, or something telling you that your bill is overdue or the the IRS is going to audit your taxes or something like that. We all get these things, the robocalls and the spam texts. But now, a new recent addition are these AI scams. These are voice scams that sound eerily human. But the main thing about all of these things is that they're not just annoying, they're illegal. And we're going to talk about it today. We're going to break down how these things actually get to you and interfere and intrude into your life, and what you can legally do to put a stop to them. Okay, first up, we're going to look at robocalls, how in the world they get into our lives and intrude into our daily sphere, where they come from. These are things that come from things called bot farms. There are lots of new words and lingo that come into our language now based on technology. Like 20, 30 years ago, maybe if somebody would have asked you to post something on Facebook or to download something, they wouldn't know what you're talking about. But now we have all kinds of new lingo that comes into our lives based on technology. And bot farm is one of those things, which I hadn't heard of until recently when I started to look into these things. So robocalls are generated in some of these bot farms, and they are automated voice calls that are made using computer software that dials thousands of numbers per minute. Now, robocalls were actually originally designed for a legitimate purpose, like to remind you of a doctor appointment or something along those lines. Those are legitimate uses for those things. Pharmacy pickup reminders and such. I still get things like that. I just received one of these calls last week to remind me of an eye appointment that I had with my eye doctor. One of the super helpful ones is if you get a robocall from an airline telling you about a change in your upcoming airline travel. That's been very helpful to me when I have received phone calls from my airline that are telling me that a flight has been delayed or canceled or something like that. And those usually come now in the form of these robocalls. But like everything else, the scammers have found ways to, basically turn this into a problem for all of us. And they've taken advantage of that technology. Now, many of these calls are coming from what's called spoofed numbers. Numbers that might look familiar or real or come from your own local area code, but they're actually just a bot call being made to you from maybe somewhere overseas or in a different state or area than where you live. Many of these calls just come from hidden sources that you wouldn't be able to trace back to. Now, spam texts, not just robocalls, but spam texts that you might get are basically falling into some of the same categories. They work the exact same way. They often include fake delivery notices, urgent banking alerts, texts that tell you that you have a tax liability and you may be contacted by the IRS or something, a bill that you are being told that you owe, and some threaten legal action against you unless and until you contact them to make things right. And of course, there are always the spam texts that tell you about some trip that you've won or a car that you've won and something that you have to do to claim whatever the prize is as soon as possible. Now, the third and probably the most scary category of these types of things are the AI scams. So with these AI scams, we've kind of entered a new phase of this kind of fraud. They're AI voice cloning scams where criminals use artificial intelligence to mimic somebody's voice. There was even a recent one where a dad got a call supposedly from his daughter, where she sounded frantic and upset. Dad, I need money. Please, send money as quickly as possible to this number or this location or whatever else like that. Well, it wasn't the dad's daughter at all. It was some scammer using a short clip taken from the daughter's social media to record her voice and create a false voice that sounded just like hers. And this is the kind of stuff that's happening on an increasing level in with the new technology now. So, I mean, how in the world do these things get to us? Well, they reach us because criminals are using auto dialer software and mass texting platforms often running through multiple SIM cards and things like that, or overseas internet um, networks to avoid detection. So they're trying to do all of this stuff under the radar using mass technology platforms to be able to get to as many people as possible, because they know, while a lot of people are going to be wise to some of this stuff and very careful and maybe just will delete um, things that come in that look suspicious, they know that there are going to be enough people caught in the net to make this worth their while. So what in the world can you do with all of this stuff going on nowadays to protect yourself? What's the law that refers to these things? Well, thankfully, the law is on our side, and it comes through a couple of avenues. The first we'll talk about is called the TCPA, or the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. That's been around actually since around 1991. And the good thing is that it's being constantly updated to accommodate and to address and account for all this increasing technology that's allowing all of these things to be created. So what's the law under that TCPA, under that act? Well, basically, it makes it illegal for a company or an individual to use an auto dialer or some pre-recorded voice to call you or to text you without your prior consent. It's also illegal for them to send to you unsolicited marketing texts without your permission. It's also illegal for them to call you if you're on the National Do Not Call Registry. Now, if that's something you have not yet set up, you need to do that as quickly as you can. And I'll tell you how you can join the National Do Not Call Registry in just a moment. And it's also illegal for them to continue to call you after you've told them to stop, or you've told them, don't call me anymore. And violations of these things under the TCPA are, they can be fined up to $500 per call or $1,500 per call if the violation is willful. And there are many people who have successfully sued telemarketers and won settlements for repeated violations. And I also mentioned the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. Well, the FTC, along with the Federal Communications Commission, they also enforce rules about these robocalls and AI scams and deceptive texts and these kinds of things. They're now cracking down on voice cloning and fake number spoofing with the help of phone carriers. That's been a big thing lately, is to try to really crack down on these things as they are emerging. So where does that leave all of us out here in phone land? Basically, what can we do to stop these things from coming into our lives? And this is really the most important and part of and the crux of our video today. What can you do? Well, step one, remember I mentioned the National Do Not Call Registry. Here's what you do. This is, by the way, it's a federal government agency, a federal government creation that help to protect you. You go to donotcall.gov, and I'll bring that up on the screen. donotcall.gov and register your number. This is free and it takes about 30 seconds, and it's also permanent. It's not something you have to, re-register for like every year or every few months or something along that lines. It's permanent. And legitimate telemarketers are required to respect it. Obviously, the criminals and the ones who couldn't care less about what the law says, they're going to break the law anyway, as they as they do all the time in every category of life. So they're not going to respect that. Scammers won't, but it helps your case if you ever report them or have to bring a claim against them. Well, what else can you do? Well, the second thing that you can do is block and report, unwanted numbers. Most phones allow one-tap blocking of any number you want to block. You can use your cell carrier's spam filters. For example, AT&T, I think, has something called Call Protect. I think Verizon's version is called Call Filter or something along that line. T-Mobile is called Scam Shield. Look into these. Look on your website or your account on the internet on any of these carriers and find out what they offer in terms of these kinds of filters. If you get an unwanted text or a spam text from somebody, here's one thing that you can do. You click on the unwanted text and then you just forward it to number 7726, which on your keypad would spell out SPAM. And that's a way of reporting a spam text. The next thing you do, really you don't do in this case, is never click on a link in a spam text. or respond to that. Even if you reply something to them like stop, it tells that scammer that your number is active, which is just going to lead to more of that kind of spam. Instead, delete the unwanted text and or report it like we've talked about. Next, you can use a call blocking app. There's some of these out there that are available. You just have to check on your phone carrier if that's available in their app store. There are apps like Hiya, Hiya. Check it out. Do a Google search or something for that app to see if your phone can get that one. There's one called Robo Killer. No More Robo. It's spelled NOMOROBO. These are three apps that can identify robocalls before you even pick them up, and they can block them. Some of these might charge a fee, so you just want to check into that. Now on to the scary one, the AI scams that I told you about at the beginning that use fake AI generated voices to call you to action, some sort of immediate activity in response to whatever the voice is saying. So, I mean, if you get a phone call from what sounds to be a family member who's frantic and in trouble, you need to hang up immediately. Call or text them back at the number that you know is theirs. Call them back directly using their number and find out if this is a legitimate call or what's going on. Secondly, don't ever send money or gift cards or anything along that line if you get one of these calls, because they are typically fraud. And if the call used your family member's real voice, report it to the FTC immediately. And here's where you go to do that. It's called reportfraud.ftc.gov, and I will put that up on the screen as well. Now, when and how can you take legal action against some of these types of things? If you're just getting constant robocalls or texts, even after taking all these steps, you can fight back. And so, how do you do that? Well, you can file a complaint with the FTC or the FCC. Just go on their websites and find out how you can file a complaint with them regarding these robocallers or text people or whoever else that may be sending you these unwanted communications. You can also find out from a consumer attorney who handles these TCPA cases what they can do to help you. Some of them take them on contingency basis, which basically means that they don't get paid their fees until you recover some amount of money against and from these people who are doing these scams. You can even make a small claims action against these people. Typically, or at least in the jurisdiction where I live, in small claims court, you cannot be represented by an attorney, but you can certainly bring a claim on your own. And there are some individuals who have successfully recovered, $500 or $1,500 per legal call by bringing an action in small claims court. So we may never be able to ultimately get rid of or eliminate every single robocall or text scam that comes to us. For example, recently I've been getting pretty much the exact same call and voicemail from a different number every single time with different area codes all over the country, but it's basically the same message telling me about some funding request that I have that's been approved and all this stuff for a loan or whatever else, which of course I never requested. So these are all scams. But the law does give us real tools to fight back, and we've talked about some of those here today. And you need to protect yourself from AI scams that are only getting more sophisticated and can be more damaging if they take you off guard. So, knowing your rights is the first step to take in protecting yourself from these kinds of things. So wrapping up, if you've experienced a weird robocall, anything along those lines, or you've fallen for one of these scams or things like that, AI voice scam, some weird text or other attempt to take advantage of you, go ahead and drop it in the comment section below. I'd love to hear how you handled it, and it certainly might help some other folks who are tuning into our channel who have questions or comments about these things. Also, if you have any questions or would like for me to tackle some sort of a legal topic on this channel, I would love to hear from you as well and see if we can get your legal issue on one of our next videos. If you found this video helpful today, why don't you give a thumbs up and subscribe for more practical legal tips that I'll be doing on more of these videos. And feel free to share this video with somebody else who's gone through this kind of thing.